Is there anybody on this call who is planning on participating in Hacktoberfest? Kind of want to get a sense if you're really focused more so on your use case of Milvus versus if there are any questions about Hacktoberfest. What I'd like to do, if there are any, is to kind of start there. Does anybody have any questions around Hacktoberfest? What it is?
Yeah, sure. Can you explain what it is? I wasn't necessarily aware of the event. I know you had sent out something, but I guess I hadn't planned to.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, knowing you a little bit, Mark, as a seasoned professional and certainly exceptional at what you do, I think it might be really intriguing. So over the last several years, DigitalOcean, which I'm sure you're familiar with that company, they have hosted this month-long event, which starts October 1st and goes, of course, through the entire month. And it literally is a celebration of all open source projects. And to participate, basically, your GitHub repo will have a Hacktoberfest label, or if you want to call it that. And the idea is to really introduce open source and to get people excited about participating in different open source projects. So this year, of course, Milvus is participating, and we're participating in a number of different aspects. As you can imagine, most people probably participating are coders, and so they're looking forward to jumping in, but there's a variety of different ways, at least from our perspective, that people can participate with Milvus. So of course there's code, and we've got some other areas like documentation, right? Whether you're finding things that maybe are misspelled or they could be translated. We're also looking for content like blogs or tutorials or demo apps, things like that. And then of course, design as well. So it's kind of sky's the limit. And what we decided to do, because there's so many different aspects of where and how someone could participate, we put together a new forum that we just launched. You can find it at milvus.io. And when you're there, you'll notice at the very top of the page, there's something that says forum or Hacktoberfest, click here. And so you can go in there and you can find out how to contribute, what it looks like when you're participating, things of that sort. So part of what's kind of cool is that this is an event that's global, but it also, what they're striving to do is to have over 200,000 global participants this year, which is pretty amazing. That's a lot of people. Of course, there's swag involved as well. DigitalOcean is doing quite a few things. They've got their annual T-shirts that they're giving away, but we've also got some things that we're doing as well for people who are contributing in any of those different facets, whether it's code or tutorials, whatever. And it's really focused on merge pull requests. If you've got one pull request, you can get a sticker pack, and you can get a digital contributor badge, which is something that you would actually be able to use, excuse me, on your LinkedIn profile. We've got some other prizes as well. If you have 2 merge pull requests, you also get a Milvus t-shirt. And I know some of you are probably waiting on that right now, not naming any names, but I'll double check with you. And then we've got some other prizes as well. There's a cool Logitech Pro X keyboard. And then I don't know how many of you already have a drone, but the grand prize, which is really focused on the most difficult pull request that's submitted, is a drone, a really cool looking drone. So if you're interested in finding out, hey, what are the key issues that you guys are really focused on from a code perspective, you can go to our forum, like I mentioned a moment ago, milvus.io, go into the forum section, and you'll see the whole area around Hacktoberfest. And we've got a curated list that we've put together between, let's just say, 6 and 12 different issues that we've put together in each of those areas where you guys can take a look at it and you can jump in. It does not start until October 1st. So if you do a pull request or start working on something before then, and unfortunately it does not count. But let me just pause there for a second. Let me see if you guys have any questions about that. Then we can just move on.
No, I think I'm good on questions. It's kind of cool you guys have documentation as well. I think I would probably maybe want to fill in some things that I didn't see, or I guess, and I'll leave that to Vikash in terms of GPU documentation. Is there anything specific that you guys were maybe looking to enhance there? And I guess afterwards we can talk about kind of your roadmap for GPUs. But I'll let Vikash introduce himself and take over.
Sounds great.
Yes, sure. Thank you for the for the intro. So I'm Vikas. I'm working with NVIDIA, and I'm a developer for Merlin. So Merlin, as you may or may not be aware, is our recommendation from NVIDIA. Is our SDK for building recommendation systems, and one of the use cases that we feel is that Milvus can be integrated into it and maybe used to accelerate the offering that we have. So I was actually going through the website and I was looking at a few of the partners that you have, and I was actually interested in learning how these different partners are using Milvus for their use cases. So I know I was actually looking for the partner stories if they've already published, or maybe get a little bit of insight of exactly how they've used Milvus for their use cases, for the recommendation use cases in particular, and trying to learn more about it. So that's the my motivation to be here and interacting with you guys.
Sounds good. Yeah, so in terms of partner uses, I believe the few, so the big one is Tokopedia, I guess, and recommendation systems. They were using Milvus for SKU matching in the what's the word for it? The meaning behind words. I forgot the exact word. I just lost it, but yeah, so they're doing semantic search recommendation systems, and they were using Milvus 1.0, I believe. I'm not sure if they updated to 2.0, but they were doing large scale. I think they made their own cluster for it, and they were just pumping that through that. So they would just be using and embedding neural net to get the semantics for everything. So it's mainly semantic based search engine. And then it kind of goes around. So big users we have, like in the medical, we have for finding molecules. That one's a little bit, I guess, off topic from Merlin, but there's audio search. So there's I think a few bigger companies using audio search, and what they are doing is they're just decomposing the audio to find like similar music. So think of Shazam and those kind of applications, and they're speeding up their systems with that. And as well, image search, big ones. I'm not sure which ones I can name, but there's a few big ones that are doing it for finding similar images, finding copyright infringements, and they're doing large scale, I think 10 million plus, and I think there's a few going up to 100 million. And it's just a similar pipeline. It's just taking it through an encoder, getting the vectors, and then searching for them to see if there's things close enough. And I believe they have like a cutoff range of what's considered infringement and what's not. And then from there, they can find it and pull it. If that's sort of what you're asking, I'm not sure for specific details. I might need to take a look into that and kind of ask around for specific hardware implementations and how they did that, but it's kind of a general rundown.
Yeah, I think that's very helpful. I was actually going through the website and I was trying to find some blog that if there's something that you guys have written with your partners, it basically highlights how they have used Milvus in, let's say, the recommendation system context. Then that would be really helpful if you could share that with us.
Let me find the chat real quick. There's this one. Let's see,
as you're doing that, Vikash, just a quick clarifying question. Have you had a chance to take a look at the Zillist.com site? There's some transitions taking place right now, and so there might be some use cases, some blog posts that are talking about particular use cases and clients that's on one site but not the other. So in case you haven't, maybe pop over to Zillist.com and you'll be able to find some things over there that may not necessarily be over to Milvus.io quite yet.
Got you.
I'm just throwing a few of the articles that I can remember on the top of my head that we worked with other companies, and they kind of explain their systems. Not sure how much detail they go to, but I'll try to find a few more.
Hey, Philip, what about the LucidWorks example?
Oh, yeah, LucidWorks.
You guys actually published something with them?
Yeah. So we
Oh,
also
yeah?
did like this little talk with them. Let me see if I can find the article. And I just realized I was sending everything
When was
to
that?
Mark.
You know those guys
It-
well?
Yeah, I used to work for them actually.
Oh.
I used to run all the machine learning deployments. That's how I know about you guys.
Oh,
so
nice.
they threw it into their what was it called? The
It's in Fusion. It's in their
yeah,
product.
Fusion.
It's in
Trying to
it's in
see.
production with some pretty big folks.
Yeah.
5.3
Not sure
or
if they
something like that.
released an article. I know there's
did.
documentation on it,
Mm.
but
Yeah, Elizabeth Edmiston, if I'm pronouncing her name correctly.
Edmonton. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we actually had a couple of meetings with her and the team, and she crafted a blog post, which I think we reposted. So at the time, it would have been published on Zillis.com. So you can probably find that one there.
Are you guys speaking at Activate, the conference?
Yes.
You are. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the other folks from the team, I think you may have met Ryan. He'll actually be attending and speaking at that one.
yeah, and then open source conference, the open source summit. If anyone's going to be there, I'll be there this next week.
Yeah. So if you guys are watching chat, the chat window, Phil is obviously posting quite a few different links in there with a lot of different use cases and companies that have been using Milvus, primarily in production. I'm not seeing all of them. AtSpoke is another one. Shutterstock is also using us.
Mhm.
And then there are some other partners that are kind of interested, or they have used us, but it's a little bit different play, kind of like a Grid Dynamics. I'm sure you guys are familiar with those folks.
Yeah. You guys
Yeah.
work with Grid as well?
I
I think
little bit.
we're like in contact, and then I think he's using it for some of the solutions, or they're using it for some of their solutions.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like not in every single one. I'm not sure
Okay.
which
Yeah.
specific ones they're using for. Then we
You
have
guys have a
a
good-
few more like
you guys have a
Walmart
good,
and IKEA and those things.
Yeah, and Cleveland Museum of the Art. Right.
That's a
I
fun
think they're
one.
doing. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's,
that's
a fun one.
another one.
I'll paste the link here.
Right on. Mark,
Yeah,
you were
there's, like-
saying something?
No, I'm just saying I know those guys as well. So they're a pretty good team.
And very technical.
And then yeah, so I can go over so I got some of the answers for the GPUs.
Mhm.
I know you posted in the
Yeah.
sign up. So let me just pull over. So in terms of loading a collection, because a collection is just segments, it's multiple segments, you can split it up over a bunch of GPUs. I think it automatically does the splitting up. It just tries to balance it out.
Okay.
You can use as many GPUs as we want. I think we've only tested up to 4 or 5 because that's as much as our like system could handle.
Yeah.
So that's somewhere like if you want to test, I'm assuming you guys probably have larger systems. And for us, once we went up to the 4 or 5, we were running into bandwidth issues, which again, I think is because we were just using more of like just personal computer styles hardware for doing those tests. So we were bandwidth limited. I'm not sure how that will react to you guys. I'm again assuming you guys have higher bandwidth things. Yeah, and in terms of loading segments, so I think I got it wrong last time when I talked to you about how it's always reloaded. So I think we do, so it caches. So I think a big slowdown is if you can't fit it all in GPU memory, there'll be slowdowns because you'll have to cache swap a bunch. I'm still getting specific because I'm from 2 people. I'm now getting different answers on like when it's fully reloaded, because there is some things that happen with let's say you're deleting values and then you have to recompact your index. I'm not 100% sure for our logic if it knows which ones to pull out of GPU and throw it back in, or if it does a clean wipe and completely just reloads all of it. So that's one where I'm not 100% sure where there's sort of a weird going on, maybe because we didn't optimize for GPU that much. So yeah, there's that. And then oh yeah, for like so a big thing for like most of we mainly wrap face or
Mhm.
FICE for our GPU things. So I remember you mentioned like where you guys can see if you guys can improve on your end. A lot of what we're doing is, yeah, just if there's going to be any improvement, I think it's going to be on the FICE end, because FICE is where we're doing, that's where all the GPU calculations are coming from.
Okay.
And then, yeah, so like I'm going to take a closer look. If it is the case where we fully like remove, if like we change some segments and we fully remove it, or then we have to fully remove from the GPU, there's probably some optimization that can be done there. I'll need to double check. And yeah, we're currently working on for 2.1. It should be similar. I'm not 100% sure why it's taking us a little bit longer to get it running. I think for now we're just trying to, because we're still for 2.0 a bit buggy on everything else, so there hasn't been huge focus on getting 2.0 working with GPUs yet, because if we can get it with CPUs
Then you go to
stable, then we can start, yeah. But yeah, so that's what I'm not 100% sure if there were more questions. I'm trying to pull up your
Yeah, I just had a quick question around. So right now, most people will be using some type of encoder when they go to use Milvus, right? Oftentimes, or yeah, most likely in production, they're using some type of encoder. So do you have a feel of what people are using for deployment? Right? So imagine a query comes in, it comes in on the CPU, it goes through some type of inference server. That inference server will take whatever query that's coming in, convert it to some vector, and then do the query to Milvus, right? I'm assuming that most of that is done on CPU. However, are you aware of any folks that have maybe slightly larger models that need GPU acceleration, so it's actually faster to get the full end-to-end pipeline,
I'll take a look. I'm not 100% on top of my head. I'm assuming there are a few people using GPUs because the speed up's just insane. But that is the case, yeah, for like SKU things and like sort of like the whole semantic search on keywords. Like, yeah, semantic search takes a bit, but if it's just a few keywords that you're doing it on, you don't really need a full GPU solution. But I'll take a look into that. But I'm assuming it's usually what I think's happening, at least in like, so like some people use our solutions. They're okay. They're not the greatest. They're not the most optimized, but it's just running through PyTorch or TensorFlow, not really, maybe kind of turning into a more like Torch or the Torch JIT, or I forgot what the words are when you yeah, just kind of compressing it and making it inference based. Yeah. So okay. I think there are a few people doing that style. I'm not sure if they're using mainly inference servers. Because I think what happens is they kind of do like a batch. They kind of load it up and then say, okay, let's take these and throw it in. It's not like a always on. So that I'm not sure if they run an inference server for doing that. Okay. I messed around with Triton. It works really well in the pipeline. So that might be something I'll recommend to people if they ask if they need inference servers, because it seemed to work well. But yeah, I think it's mainly just using the basic PyTorch or TensorFlow things.
Inference server. Okay. And I guess if we were to get maybe a more fleshed out example of, let's say, a BERT deployment on Triton on a GPU using Milvus, is that something you guys would be interested in almost hosting? And this is coming slightly out of my realm. This is Vikash's sort of charter, but just asking, because that's what I'm kind of working on right now. Just a nice full end-to-end, really detailed example on BERT, because there's some tricks to get it to run pretty fast in production that we want to make sure at least people can replicate. You don't think?
Yeah, I'd love to take a look at that. I'm not 100% sure how we could throw it in. I'll have to ask around as well, kind of outside my realm. But I mainly use Triton with just like a simple ResNet, and seemed pretty simple to set up. I guess I didn't optimize it anyway. Just did the Onyx conversion and plugged it in.
Cool.
But yeah, that'd be awesome to take a look and see how that works.
And in terms of pre and post processing, do you find people do a lot of pre and post processing in their Milvus search pipelines, if that makes sense?
So I think, yeah. So pre-processing, I assume not too much, other than like, let's say you're doing image-based crop resize and standardize. which I think for a lot of for images, they're doing that sort of pipeline for pre-processing. Post-processing, I don't believe so. I think it's more of just, I think the only post-processing is linking the ID from Milvus to the actual, let's say, image or the actual text or something like that. I don't think there's too much post-processing done, I believe. I'll need to double check that one as well. Let me write a note on that.
I guess I wanted to, Shashank, did you want to maybe ask some of the questions on performance testing, if you had any?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So the first question that I had was that I was, first of all, this is my first office hour, so I may have missed any previous discussion that you might have had, right? I'm just to give an introduction, I'm a technical marketing engineer at NVIDIA. And these days I had been looking deeper into Milvus, reviewing some of the components and sort of trying to get some benchmarking numbers put together, right, in an end-to-end pipeline that we had internally, right? And candidate generation was a part, in which candidate generation was a part of. Right? So that's just some context. And the first question from me was that I tried to set up Milvus on the Ampere GPU, which is the latest offering from NVIDIA, right? And I'm aware, based on certain bugs, that there is some sort of support for CUDA 11 in Milvus, but it looks like it has not been officially tried on the Ampere set of GPUs. Right. So is there any guidance on, is there any official guidance on being able to use it with Ampere? Because I tried to build it from scratch, but the GPU search failed when I tried. Yeah.
So I don't think we have access to any Ampere GPUs. I think the highest we got to is RTX 2080s. And I think those were running CUDA 10. I'll need to double check with CUDA 11 and if there's, I'm guessing on your guys' end, was there a lot of changes in terms of, so from CUDA 10 to CUDA 11 in terms of like big changes, or was it more optimizations that happened behind the scenes and not as much API changes?
Mark, would you know about that? I'm not too sure, to be honest. Like, I don't work on the CUDA side, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, just to point it out, I think the Ampere set of GPUs, they require CUDA 11 as a prerequisite, 11 or above for them to work. So I'm not too sure whether any changes are required or not. But I saw there was a PR that was merged in Milvus that supported, that made it possible to compile Milvus on CUDA 11. And I think one of the developers, they mentioned that they've tried it with CUDA 11.
Yeah, I'm seeing the issue for the CUDA 11 support, but I might need to take a closer look. I see the pool as well, the experimental branch. I'm not sure if which those merge into experimental. I'll need to take a look into that, but yeah, we haven't really tested any Ampere based GPU things. I don't think we have any access to those.
I see.
But
so just to summarize what I had tried, in one of those bugs, the guidance from the developer was that there was a build container, and I used it to build Milvus, right? Yeah, I mean, the build was successful, but the GPU search failed with the exact error that is being reported in GitHub issue 6315, as I shared in the chat. So yeah, I just wanted to check if you had any guidance. So I just wanted to have that as one of the hardware platforms we'd like to benchmark Milvus on. So and then I guess the second question is that does Milvus 2.0 support GPUs officially, or I haven't been able to find any documentation for that?
Not yet. Not yet. So that's going to be a 2.1, I think, release. Right now, it's only CPU.
I see. That makes sense. Thank you. So yeah, regarding this this issue with GPU search failing, would you have any guidance? Are you going to look at it, or
I'll take note of it and bring it up. I'm taking note of all these questions that I'm not sure how to answer right now.
Mhm.
But I like that you post the issue. That will definitely help me
Thank you.
narrow it down. But I'm looking through the issue right now. It's a little bit outside of my realm of experience, I guess. But I'll bring it up and see. And I can see if they can run it on their end to see if it's working on their end. Or on our end, I mean. Test it with CUDA 11, just see if they can get it running.
Yeah, yeah.
And doing
Thank
the search, not just the build.
Yeah, and I'm assuming like with some of the code would be reused in Milvus 2.1, or is that a completely new implementation?
I think, yes, I think the code would be reused. If that's something if you want to take a look at right now, because yeah, it's mainly the face code being reused. I think it's mostly going to be reused because right now we changed like everything before the GPU has changed, but it's kind of compatible. I don't know. I explained that pretty poorly. Like everything to the point in the CPU will set it up so I think there won't need to be too many changes for GPU. So I think it's going to be very similar from 1.1 to 1.2 because we're still wrapping around face. In the future, we do plan to work on our own implementations of all like the search algorithms, but for now, and like pretty much the foreseeable future is going to be that face implementation. So I think it should be very similar. I'll just need to see how much work it would take to plug in, but yeah. One thing that you can give a try as well is trying the search on face using a face library. I think
Like
that
directly
will
on face?
Yeah, so the face library should be pretty easy. It's like a very simple they have like a test file, and I think yeah, if you can get it running, because like if it doesn't run on face, then at that point we'd have to make changes to face, and that's where I think a lot of time will be spent. But if if CUDA 11 and Amper is working on face, then I think that's just, yeah, then it's gonna be an error on our, or a bug on our end. We can take a look.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. And just for my reference, so I was working off the Milvus 1.1 branch on GitHub. Is there any guidance? Is there any information on which face version that corresponds to, so I can sort of go and check that version of face?
Yeah, so let me pull up the, I think I'll send that right after to you. I need to find out where it is in the actual files, but yeah, I'll definitely send that over to you. I think that's a quick one to find.
Thanks. Yeah, and another follow-up question, and to that would be like until 2.1 is in like in development, and like we are working off 1.1 right now, and if if the face version, let's say if that's an issue, I'm just guessing here, will it be how difficult do you think would it be for sort of to replace the face version directly with the newer version? Are there a lot of dependencies, or in terms of
I'm not 100% sure. I wouldn't think. I'm guessing like most changes would be internal. One thing I don't think that would work is like, let's say they add a new type of index. I think that's where there would kind of be some dependency changes, because then you have to change pretty much all the way up to like the forward facing API. But I think for like, I'm not 100% sure, but I think if it's for mainly like the updates to behind the scenes that's going on in face, I think our wrapper could handle it. I haven't looked too much at our wrapper, so I'm not 100% sure, but I would assume so.
Well, thank you for your response. That was helpful. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you for that. I know we also have one other person on the call, Mac Bobby, and you've been waiting patiently. So I want to make sure that we give you a few minutes for sure to just check in, ask any questions you might have, and see how we can help you.
Oh, sorry, for now I don't have any questions. And I joined late, so I've not been really following up. Sorry.
Okay. If you don't mind me asking, where are you from?
From Nigeria.
Oh, I know that the topic today was Hacktoberfest plus open discussions around Milvus. Are either of those two things what brought you here today?
Yes, very much. Yeah.
Okay. Was it Hacktoberfest or just general discussion?
The Hacktoberfest.
Oh, nice. Okay. So we are recording this, and we'll certainly make it available. But if you do have any particular questions about how Milvus is participating in Hacktoberfest, please let me know. You can shoot me a message in the chat if you'd prefer to do that. Otherwise, I'm happy to try to answer any of those questions for you. Overall, what we're recommending for folks just to get a better idea of how we're participating is to go to milvus.io. And what you'll find there is a section specifically on Hacktoberfest where you can see a curated list of issues that our teams have put together. So depending on if you're a coder or if you're more interested in participating from a docs perspective or building a demo, blogs, tutorials, etc., there's a myriad of different ways of participating. So if you prefer, by all means, just shoot me a message in chat and then I can try and help you out there.
All right, thank you very much. I already filled for the community. I'm already a member of the community, and
Oh, great.
I've gone through the Go language and the technical documentation contribution sections, and I've been looking for a way to probably, if I settle down, then I'll look for issues that I have to fix or something. Or I will just message you right now.
Sure. Yeah, I'm happy to help point you out. And if you're already a member of the community, that's great. I'll go find you. My username is Renshi8, RENSHI8. So you can always find me there. And then, for the rest of you also, I know that for the most part, this discussion has been focused around NVIDIA, GPUs, et cetera. But I'd like to encourage all of you to go to milvus.io and go into the forum area and create an account. You can set up your permissions there and also subscribe to particular topics. You can start new topics, et cetera, et cetera. And that is the newest platform that we just launched a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, you guys are aware of the fact that we've got Slack and we've got a couple other channels that I think we've all been communicating on, but it can be somewhat difficult to try and find information since it's just kind of a laundry list of questions and people responding. But it's much easier to find particular topics on the forum. So just would like to encourage all of you to go there and to join it. You can actually use your GitHub user ID and password to log in. Is there anybody else that has any other questions, whether about Hacktoberfest or some of the other topics in general? I know we covered a lot today. You guys are keeping us busy. And thank you, like Phil said, for submitting those issues. I think myself and a couple other folks who are certainly taking notes and want to make sure that we follow up for you as well. So the office hours are something that we plan to do roughly every 2 to 3 weeks. Kind of depends on who's traveling, who's going to what shows and presenting, things of that sort. So, as members of the team are available, we certainly plan on doing more of this. And of course, we want to use this time to follow up on previous questions, maybe issues that have been submitted into the repo, and possibly questions that have been asked also in the forum. So I'll just wrap it up there. See if anybody has any last thoughts, questions, etc.
I had a quick question, Eric, around so when we go to ask questions now, I know I tend to ping you guys on Slack, but I just signed up for the forum. Do you prefer the questions to be asked in the forum there? Does it help you guys kind of track and reshare things over time?
Yeah, so forum helps a lot because with Slack, it's kind of finding the threads, sending the threads, and it's just like,
yeah.
Whenever I get a Slack like message, just a link, and then it always goes to browse and asks for a sign in, yada yada yada. So I think, yeah, keep it on Discuss because that's where we'll have all our engineers be active. So I think that will help, and then kind of throwing it's like similar to issues, but the thing with issues, like here, if you have an idea, like if you want to like thoughts about it or something, making an issue for some thoughts is kind of like makes it really crowded. So throwing it in discuss in the middle of the discussion helps a lot.
Okay.
And then also, yeah, for face 1.6, I think I found, I believe, yeah, the file I believe is 1.6, but I'll double check if we're using some weird version or something. But
Cool. So I guess all the other questions that I'll have or the team will have following up, essentially just create a fairly distinct topic and maybe just CC you there or something like that.
yeah, I can send my name in it as well. I think it's, I don't remember off the top of my head.
You don't know your username, man? Come on.
I don't know if I think I used like a standard one across.
Okay.
It should be just Philip Holtman.
I'm sure you'll find him on there. I mean, there's
Philip,
not
yeah,
too
there
many
you go.
Phillips with an FI.
Let's see, there we go.
Worst case, it's going to get escalated. So
Yeah.
there we go. Philip Holt.
And I guess for us, just so you guys are aware, we're working with a pretty large retailer on Milvus as well. So over the next couple of weeks, so we might be reaching out with some more, I would say, production like questions. And I do believe that once things go well, they'll be possibly speaking publicly about it, right? But no promises there, but
Yeah.
that's kind of all of our plans to make sure that the good work that we're building on top with you guys will hopefully get shared.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
A quick question in general about this kind of stuff. Are these running on your servers or are they going to be using their own servers? If you're allowed to say.
On their servers, both, well, it'll get deployed to probably Azure or GCP for now,
Okay.
depending on which service they use. But right now it's on their on-prem servers that we'll be testing it on, and we'll make sure to highlight which GPUs and stuff are running. So
Yeah, I was gonna say,
on the other side, yeah,
because I think like it can get a little bit finicky, especially with bandwidth and stuff. So if it's on cloud, might be worth doing a little bit of testing just to double check.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, once we get it running, at least to the SLAs that we want for the full end-to-end, or either for some of the search specific or recommendation specific use cases, then we'll look at the difference between no network latency and adding some of that in the cloud.
Yeah,
Let you guys
awesome.
know. Perfect. That's it from my side. I know about the forum now, so I'll be reaching out.
Sounds good. Anybody else have any last thoughts, questions, feedback? Hopefully this has been helpful.
Super helpful. Thank you.
Also,
Great.
yeah,
Question?
Yeah.
go ahead.
Sorry,
You can go
in
first.
the forum, once you respond, like you have to check the forum to see the responses, or you end up getting a notification by email?
I think you might get a notification by email, but it might be turned off by default. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
And
I'm pretty sure we enabled it. Sorry, Phil, go ahead.
and the other thing was that technical discussion on October 12th, I believe, that will have our main engineer and I think a few more engineers. So for some of the questions I wasn't able to, that might be a good one to try to attend. I'm not 100% sure how the time lines up, but yeah, that's when we'll have our engineers on it.
That's October 12th.
I need to double check. It's like October 11th or 12th.
It's October. It's 12th of October as per the mail from Yuan.
Awesome. Yeah.
And then I don't know if you guys are attending ODSC West Coast, but Philip mentioned it earlier. I think he's actually going to be presenting, so that's pretty exciting. And then we are, Mark, to your question earlier, we are participating in Activate, and one of our other folks from the team, Ryan, whom some of you may have met, he's actually going to be presenting there. So there's a number of shows, I think, going on over the next probably 5 months or so. I think most of them are probably hybrid or virtual in general, but we've got some great things that are happening. So that's probably something that we should post on our forum, is all the upcoming shows that we're going to be presenting at. So that way, you know, if you guys want to refer other people to it, that'd be great.
Yeah, definitely feel free to share any Milvus stuff that you want to help cross promote. I'm happy to share on LinkedIn and get the word out there as well.
Great. Sounds good. So if
Well,
nobody else,
Just,
yeah, go ahead.
Just one more question over here. So, is this the TAC meeting that I got to know from the last email from June?
Oh, could you
Or do you know
repeat?
what the TSC meeting is?
TSC meeting.
Is that
Technically,
the
I'm
12th meeting?
assuming it's. So this one's October 11th. So I'll double check with June. I'll get back to you. I think it might be the same one, but I'm not 100% sure because I know that we had talks between us already. So there might be, or like be a private one or something. I'm not 100% sure,
Okay.
but I'll double check. But this is like the technical one that's, I know the engineers will be on, and yeah. A little bit late, but it is what it is.
all right.
Cool. All right.
So it sounds
That's all
like
from-
we got everything hopefully wrapped up for all of you, and you guys know how to get a hold of us if you've got any other questions after we're wrapping up here. By all means, please reach out. But we'll certainly make sure that you guys are aware of our next office hours, of course, the technical meeting as well, and then we'll start posting a few additional things where we're presenting and have some speaking engagements out on the forum. So thanks everybody for being on the call. I know it's late for most of you, so thank you for joining. And if there's a time where you think it works best for you, please let us know, because we don't want you guys to be on the call at 1 o'clock in the morning or whatever time it is for you. But certainly would like to make it more conducive to your timeframes as well. So thank you everybody for being on the call, for all the wonderful questions, and we'll be sure to follow up soon.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Welcome.